Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright people, so some news we got today about the Anthony Joshua Oleksandr Usyk undercard. It's funny enough actually, only this morning I was on BoxRec and I was looking at this card and I was like, have they announced any undercard fights yet? Has there been a fight announced that I've not been aware of? Like I was thinking Lawrence Okolie's name might have been mentioned, I just maybe missed it. I go on BoxRec, there wasn't anything. So later on in the day, it was announced a couple of fights for the undercard. Now, as is so often the case, it has to be said with Anthony Joshua undercards, it's not amazing. You know, his undercards don't normally tend to be particularly stacked. I think how it's worked is that AJ, say like the money has, say you have X amount of money, AJ is getting X amount, and the rest is just kind of chucked on the undercard. You could say the same about Canelo undercards, to be fair, because Canelo undercards are very seldom good. You're mainly paying for the main event. Saying that this main event is a very good main event, so a lot of people be paying. I won't be myself, but I will definitely watch the undercard throughout. Now, first off, we have on the undercard Campbell Hatton. Now, I've made my point about Campbell Hatton before. I'm not going to repeat myself ad nauseam about it, but the things I will say, he should not be on these undercards, on these big events, in my opinion. He is extremely raw, extremely crude, extremely novice-y. There are very, very good up-and-coming prospects. Dalton Smith, Hopi Price, you know, that Cyrus Patterson guy looks very good. There's plenty of up-and-coming prospects who I feel are much, much more deserving of a role on a card like this than Campbell Hatton. No disrespect to the kid. He's trying to do his thing. But we're seeing someone who needs learning fights. He needs to be away from the cameras. He needs to learn on the small hall stage. Because I tell you what's going to happen. He is the sort of fighter where he's so limited, and you can see that straight away, that any fight he's in, you could easily see him losing. Seriously. You could see a Harley Ben, where you put him in there against someone who on paper looks horrific, and it could either be very competitive and he could end up losing, or look very bad. Really, he needs to be just brought up slowly. Even if Eddie Hearn wanted to pay one of these small hall promoters X amount of money just to give him a couple of fights on their shows, to bring him along, but to be constantly on big events, and I know it's the name value, but like as I said, there is very good prospects that Eddie Hearn has, and I'm probably missing a few as well. I'm probably just thinking names that are slipping my mind, but there are good prospects he has, who I feel are more worthy of a shot on a card like this, to show their ability, than somebody like a Campbell Hatton. Again, like the kid could prove me wrong. He could turn out to be the second coming for all I know. But from what I've seen so far, needs a lot of work, and they really are trying to milk the fact that he's Ricky Hatton's son. And at the end of the day, I can see Campbell Hatton, I can see him losing quite soon, to be honest with you. And then it's a question of what happens next. You know, because you're adding an unnecessary amount of pressure to the kid. Again, I would say just put one of your up-and-coming prospects who you know look very good, look very decent. You know, as I said, you know, Cyrus Patterson is just turning pro. He looked good in his debut. Dalton Smith looks very good. I've been very impressed with Dalton Smith. I wouldn't mind seeing him on a card like this because I feel he deserves it. I feel Dalton Smith's an excellent fighter. Very impressed with him so far. So I would love to see him on one of these shows. I think that he deserves it. Anyway, enough about that. Christopher Usyk. Now, I'll be frank, I have never seen Christopher Usyk fight. He is fighting a guy whose name is extremely difficult for me to pronounce. I have seen him fight. He's a Russian fighter called, I'm going to try it, Kansan Besanovy. I think is how you pronounce it. Now, I have seen him fight. He got stopped by Rob Brandt in 2019. I have seen that. So, you know, that could be a nice little scrap. You never know. A fight like that could end up being quite competitive. So we'll see how that goes. This is an interesting fight. We've got the Maxime Prodan versus Florian Marcoux fight. Now, for those who don't know, that was meant to be on Fight Camp Week 1. I think Marcoux got injured. I think it was an injury to Marcoux. I forget what exactly he injured, but I think it might have been a shoulder or something. So they pushed that back. Marcoux is a fighter who I enjoy watching, but I don't know where almost a bit like Alan Babbage. Only Alan Babbage I see Alan Babic as a disaster waiting to happen, even though I love watching him. I don't see that with Marku necessarily, but I don't know where his ceiling is. Do I think he'll be a world beater? No, certainly not at welterweight, but it'd be interesting to see how far he goes and where this right takes. He got a fun style. I do think he switches off a bit in fights. He got a draw against Jamie Stewart. It should have been a draw. It should have been a unanimous decision win. He won the fight, but he just didn't get the decision. And then there was that Ryland Charlton fight where he did look very, very good. It was the best I've seen him, but he got dropped because he switched off. And I think that's one of the issues I have with Marku. When he looks good, he looks very good. But when he switches off, he looks bang average. Bang average. And he needs to be able... I think it's consistency with Marku is what we need to see. So that's a good little fight. It'd be a good little scrap. I can see that being, fun. Callum Smith makes his light heavyweight debut against Lennon Costello. Now, Costello I've seen against Dimitri Bivol. I've seen him against Marcus Brown. He's durable. He's never been stopped. Both those guys are very good punchers, Marcus Brown and Dimitri Bivol. This is Callum Fight's first fight at light heavyweight. It's also his first fight under Buddy McGurk. Two completely different style of coaches, Buddy McGurk and Joe Gallagher. So he went from Joe Gallagher, who was all for just let him hit you and let him get tired, where Buddy McGurk is all about defense, using your jab. I would imagine, this is 12 rounder, I'd imagine we're going to see Callum Smith box the majority of this fight. I can't see him stopping Costello. I think Costello was durable, and I think that with Callum Smith and Buddy McGurk, he will have Callum Smith using his height and reach, which is something that Callum Smith, apart from the George Gross fight, normally tends to neglect. One thing about Callum Smith I've always found is that, especially when he's fighting a shorter guy like he was against John Ryder, how easy it was for Ryder to get inside, land body shots and back up again the ropes. It amazed me, to be honest with you. I thought that would be a tough fight for Callum Smith. Now, I felt he lost that fight, but I didn't think it'd be as tough as it was. I mean, I was amazed with how easy John Ryder was able to get him up again the ropes. So if he's going to be with Buddy McGurk, we might see him use that height and reach a bit more. He's definitely going to be jabbing a lot more with Buddy McGurk. Buddy McGurk is a very defensive fighter. We've seen that with him over the years. Kovalev, Arturo Gatti, just to name a few. Who else was it? Tarver. Buddy McGurk's a good coach. Make no mistake about it. But the question I have about Smith is, how much hunger does he have? How much hunger is there left? This one doesn't surprise me at all. Lawrence Okoli, I knew he'd be on this undercard. He's always on AJ undercard. So I had a feeling he'd be announced. He's fighting a guy called Dilan Prasovic, I think is how you pronounce it. This is a fighter from Montenegro. He is 15-12, he's 15-0, I should say, with 12 knockouts. I recognise Jackson Dos Santos, who is a journeyman. Who else has he fought that I recognise? Literally none. Made his pro debut 2014, then had 3-year gap. Fighting. His record is pretty... These guys are pretty terrible. I think they've all... He didn't have a losing record. Most of these fights early on have been guys with losing records. This guy's fought absolutely nobody. His amateur fights are listed on BoxRec, but he's only got one. So yeah, you'd imagine this is going to be a fairly straightforward routine title defense for Lawrence Okoli. I like watching Lawrence Okoli. He is one of the fighters that from the Team GB Rio 26, he's done the best out of the Team GB guys, in my opinion. And Lawrence Okoli was one of them who I thought would struggle as a pro. I really did. He proved me very much wrong. He is massively improved. And credit to Shane McGuigan, because he really has taken Lawrence Okoli and he's made him... And Lawrence Okoli, the scary thing, he has more to improve on. He's definitely not the finished article. Shane McGuigan is going to get more time with him. I reckon we're going to see him go from strength to strength to strength. People are talking about him move to heavyweight. I'd like to see him clean out cruiserweight because I feel he could. He is very... cruiserweight, he is lethal. He is a very, very capable fighter. Heavyweight, I think he's going to have a bit more... He's going to struggle a bit more at heavyweight, but a cruiserweight, Lawrence Okoli is legit. That's the card in a nutshell. How many fights is there? 6 in total. It's the main event, brilliant. As for the rest, I was going to say game change, but it's not on DAZN. It's actually on Sky Sports. It's not great. Great main event. Undercard is not good. In my opinion, that is not a good undercard at all. It's like... How do you put it? it's like your missus says to you, "I'm gonna buy you dinner. I'm gonna buy you dinner." You get home and it's a Big Mac. It's kind of like, really, all right, but you'll eat it anyway. That's kind of how it is. That's literally the best way I can describe this card. Jesus, the Marku fight will be interesting. Other than that, and the main event, obviously, of course. Other than that, it's not great. Like I said, I've never heard of the guy Christopher Ozali, so we'll see how that fight goes. Campbell Hatton, I would have put someone like Dalton Smith on there personally. I would have put Campbell Hatton, maybe if you wanted to put him on the card, put him on the Fowler Smith card up in Liverpool, because it's still a big card, but it's not as big and added pressure. Oh boy, it's not a great card. I'm gonna be frank. I'm not exactly singing the praises of this card. At the end of the day, I would gladly watch the main event. The main event's gonna be a great fight. I'll happily watch that. I'm away that weekend, actually, funny enough, but I'll still watch the main event. But I won't be religiously tuning into this card as the night's going about. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on it. Am I selling this card short? Do you think that it's actually better? Do you think that actually, no, on paper might not look good, but these fights are competitive, you're looking forward to them? I'd be interested to know, and if you do, feel free to let me know in the comment section why you think that is. For now, I'm just going to leave it there. If they announce more fights, so be it. If it changes, because God knows, I just hope this main event goes ahead. That's the one thing I want. As long as AJ's main event goes ahead, AJ Usyk goes ahead, I'm happy. It's a great fight. I need to get a prediction video out for that fight, because I'm kind of going back and forth. I have an idea who's going to win the fight. I'm not going to tell you here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Really does help your boy out. Oh, and I want to big up Ade for having me on. I wasn't just on his show, right? I got to fill in for Garrett A. Davis. Imagine that. I got to fill in on TalkSport for Garrett A. Davis. Someone who I've not spoken too kindly about on this channel before in such glowing terms at all. But ayo, I was happy to fill in. I had some big shoes and even bigger hair to fill. And that was a hell of an experience, I'll tell you that. So for now, I'm going to call it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.